Do whatever you want. Oh, really?
Like,
Pregnant.
Oh, that's all I needed.
What? I didn't even know what was going on, y'all. I promise you. I'm like, what? Sheltering, sometimes it's not beneficial because I was sheltered. Like, I turned 18, in June, and by, say, September, I'm pregnant. Just going crazy because I didn't experience certain things that, other kids, they got to go to parties, they got
I
to...
didn't get to go to no party.
Yeah, mine just came out, Mine was just different. Oh, 18, I'm out, I'm going crazy. Yeah, didn't work out in my favor, but,
It worked out different for me, but, and that's life, and it's different, because, like, I do remember, like, even when I was in high school, there was this party I wanted to go to. My mom was like, no. I remember being 21, and I came home from college dating a guy who was driving. I'm like, oh, Mom, well, after she finished all of a surprise birthday celebration, I'm like, oh, my friend coming to pick me up. I'll be back. Would you be back by 10? I said, 10 o'clock. I said,
I can drink now, lady.
I'm like,
I can get drinks in these streets.
Legal, right? So she's like, well, if you go with, my best friend at the time, Michael, you can go. I was like, Michael got MTA. That's the New York City Transit, right? But y'all don't know. That's public transportation. I said, but this man is a grown man with a car that's going to pick me up and drop me back off. And you said I got to be home at 10, but I could come home whatever time with MTA. I'm going to be on the transit train
with the crazy people
at 12 o'clock. You're right.
I can't.
So I was just like, forget it. I'll stay home. So my mom sheltered me, right? But then I kind of grew up a little bit different because she was so busy working. I was still busy trying to do schoolwork and take care of myself, or stay next door with the landlord and the old, may they so rest in peace, but they were amazing people to me. And so that was it. So I didn't have time to go out and do all those other stuff. But when I went to college, boy.
See, she went to college before she had a child. I went to college after I had a child. So that experience was different. It was wake up, drop my baby off at the babysitter, go to school, get her, go to work, come back home, do homework, do it all over again the next day. That was mine.
That's a hard process. Yeah. And I've done it both ways. Yes, I did get my degrees after. I partied in college. I had a good time in college. I went out. Went different places, right? But I remember when I went back for my postgraduate, and I was, at the time, divorced from your brother, and where I was working full time, and Haley had dance practice and all this other stuff. I was sitting one day in the work. I was just like, I'm about to quit this thing. I was like, this is a lot. I was like, I don't know how people do it. And my friend was encouraging me, like, come on, we're going to do it. I'm going to do it with you. Let's go. It's a lot of work. So I commend you for that because, I was older then too, and having her, and she was a little bit older, but yeah, I would not do that. Yeah. Before I go back to school now, somebody got to pay for it. The kids got to be grown and gone. And I just want to go school just to continue learning.
That's it.
Oh,
no.
Okay.
Learning is always here.
Yeah.
But even now, like, there's certain things that I want to do. Daycare costs $215 a week, y'all. That's almost somebody's mortgage. Like, that's a lot. I'm not. I'll be on Google learning a whole lot, or school YouTube or school TikTok right about now. I'm staying home. Okay.
Just gas itself. We're gonna gas it. It's just crazy, right? And, just thinking about those things, like when we talk about things that we went through without, family, whether it's a sheltered life, unsheltered life, we have to be able to find that balance, because the way how our parents did things didn't necessarily work, Like I was saying, that didn't stop you from having a kid. That didn't stop you from changing anything else, right? But, when I think about, like, a conversation, like, that I had with Haley, you even had a conversation with her as well. Just the extent about, okay, it's just more to it than that. Yes, I went through certain conversations with her, but it's not just, let me just show you and you figure it out. Like, well, if you show me, let me go see how it really works. What are the other steps? What are the conversations? Here's what let me teach you about your body, how to identify changes in your body when your cycle starts, what to do, how to prepare for that, how to actually know your ovulation, so you're not going out there freely first of all, the STDs as well within itself.
And we're in
ridiculous,
Atlanta.
Okay? I mean, there's a whole lot we're going to say about that, but we're going to leave it at that. But you got to be so careful. There's so much more than let me show you how to put on a condom.
Yeah.
It's a whole conversation before that.
Yeah.
It's a whole conversation.
And that 10.
It needed to
Question mark. 10.
So we have to be able, if you're going to have that conversation, if you're going to show, you have to be prepared to have that conversation. As uncomfortable as it may be, as uncomfortable as it may be for them as well, it's needed. Because Haiti was so uncomfortable when I showed her how to do that and had some of these talks about like just sex within itself and waiting. And she was always like, well, I'm going to wait till I get married or whatever the case is, right? But we have to be able to be real with them, right? And be at a place where knowing that they are going to make mistakes, they are going to do certain things, but what you can do is get ahead of it, and at least you can say, I showed them, I taught them, they know. So whatever they do with it, and once you provide your wisdom and your knowledge, it's up to them to make that decision. And that's something I had to learn, that I can't protect her from everything. If I give it to you, now it's up to you to apply. I
feel like now we have to leave the door so open for them to want to come in and be comfortable and have a conversation with us. I feel like that is so important. Sometimes when Nadia come and I'm like, oh my God, why is she telling me about her friends and what her friends and why? Why are these your friends? Oh my gosh. But then you know what? I sit there and I'm like, at least she comes and she's telling me like, you know, this person is a floozy. I can't talk to her no more. Like, I'm okay with that. So I just sit down and I listen, because we have to have that door that's open, that anything that goes on, it's okay. No matter how bad you think it may be, you can come and tell me, and I'm just going to guide you, and I'll be there along, you know, on that ride with you.
And that's you have to. I think we really, really have to have those conversations and allow them to come to us. Like you said, if they know and they want to see a reaction, because I remember Haley was telling me about certain things, and she always said, I'm always the protective mom. I am. You know, that's my baby, my first one, so I'm very guarded, you know, with her. And she was just like, you just be over the top, mom. You just so things. So when she feel like, oh, I don't want to tell you now because of how you reacted to that. So that took some time for me to adjust. You know, even conversations with her lately, she's like, yeah, mom, you've gotten much better. Because the first thing in my mind, I'm like, that's my baby. Like, no, I want to make sure you're good. You know what I mean? There's just certain things that you're like, maybe I shelter in a different way, if that makes sense. I want to protect, you know, not in a way, like I want her to know, but I want her to know enough where it's okay, you know, without really knowing that, oh my gosh, this is my baby. Right. You know, so I think that's the thing, and realizing that they're growing up, realizing that they're experiencing things, realizing that the world that they're living in, everything is at their fingertips, everything is like there. So to your point, if we don't get to them before somebody do, like, they're going to be out there. That's why I would, you know, tell her certain things. A lot of times she don't want to hear it from me. She be like, oh, mom, I didn't want to hear it, or you know, she have this attitude, or she's just kind of build up these walls. But then sometimes, you know, I heard her on the phone a couple of times with her friends repeating things that I said. I was like, oh,
you listening?
I was like, but when that moment I was in there, I was like,
you know? Tense, like, oh my God, it's you know, I think they do listen. They just want to have this hardcore shell, like, oh, I don't have to listen to my mom.
It's my mom.
They listen.
Because you had a conversation with her about some things that, you know, we were going through, and when you was there, you were saying the same thing I said, and she received it from me, and I'm like, because I cussed at you.
It was the same thing. That's really what it was. I cussed. Like, I was like, sis, what are you doing? Like, come on, let's get it together. We don't do that.
Right. But, so, you know, and it's just different, you know, and sometimes, you know, our kids, they may go, and that's why I always tell her, and I know, you know, at that time you was like, well, no, you want them to come to you, but there's a level where I'm going to say it as the mom, right? She's going to say, oh, that's my aunt, she's cool, she's younger, my mom is old, because to her, I'm a dinosaur.
Why? We're like 6 years apart.
I'm a dinosaur.
Not that bad, but it's okay.
But in their mind, that's what it is. So just being able to provide them with that outlet, or someone that they can share, you know, just like how you was able to share your experience, what it was like being a young mom, and you know, having your kids a little bit early, and you know, that piece of it. Because sometimes, you know, like she said, like, Mom, well, you went to school and you did this. I was just like, girl, there was nothing perfect about this life right here, okay? Nothing at all.
Yeah.
But
I think they do put us in a box.
They do.
As in, like, oh, my mom has never experienced this, so she doesn't understand me. Girl, I experienced more than you even think about.
And they don't know. And I think that's another point that is so important for us to share with them. And I would share my experiences with her. And sometimes she's like, that's your experience. But you need to share. And it's like, sometimes I feel like she don't want to hear me. But I feel like I have to tell her. Because she realized, I was like, girl, before these degrees and honors, there was D's and C's.
Yeah.
And that's the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
we've experienced certain things that if you try to tell them, they'll be like, oh, but that happened to you. It won't happen to me. And I'm going through this. Girl, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Just different people, different bodies. It's the same exact thing. But when we're open with them, at least then when there's a situation that comes up, they're like, oh, you know, my mom did tell me that this happened. Let me call her and say, you know, Mom, this happened. Mom, this happened. Like with Manaya, right? I never had daddy issues per se. I feel like if I had a problem with my dad, it really came from me. Manaya has issues with her dad from top to bottom, side to side. It's like there's issues all over. And if something happens, and I'll explain to her, you know, Manaya, your dad, he's just going through stuff, or, you know, he doesn't know how to be a parent, which is understandable because he didn't really have a dad growing up, so he doesn't know how to be one. And I'll give her situations that happen with me and my dad, and then she'll come to me, she'll be like, oh my God, you know, Mommy, you were right. I did say this to him, even though he didn't understand. I felt better, or, you know, something like that. Same people, different bodies, same thing, different bodies.
Same situation, different time, different era. There's certain things that they deal with a little bit different than we do with this whole technology thing. But, you know, it's on a different level. But again, I think the situations, the basic or the basis or the foundation still remains the same. Still remains where you have to have that communication. You know, still remains that I had daddy issues. I'll admit mine. Mine is where, you know, I didn't have that great relationship with my dad. I never talked to my dad. I felt like I needed him and he wasn't there. And that's a whole different video for a time for itself. But it did impact other relationships that I have and how I approach the relationship, right? Even as an adult, and it's important for them to have that conversation with their dad, because I didn't have that conversation with my dad until I was in my 30s. Like, this is how this impacted me, what you did, but we weren't comfortable doing that. But if
they're not receptive to it, because she's tried, she says, oh, you know, you invalidate my feelings, because she uses the word invalidate. She's grown, and I'm the one telling her, you know, what to say or something. If they're receptive to it, and then they'll make a change, I feel like that would be okay. But if not, it doesn't make sense. So we could tell it all we want to, just to get it off our chest. But
you know what, I think it's important for us to speak, you know, so, and how we're feeling, what it is that we're going through, and for them, and like allow them to do that. But we also have to receive it. And even if we don't want to receive it, at some point they will remember what you said. Even if they don't want to receive it at that time. It's like, think about some of the things that our parents did or said to us. Even if we didn't get it right then and there, you know, whether it's a month later, years later, when it finally clicked, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she told me, but I didn't get it. But now you get it. You know what I mean? So, you know, continue to encourage her to speak. And, you know, I do the same with Haley. Well, she kind of does that freely on her own anyway, because she's just kind of vocal with certain things.
Yeah, but my child is a no-go. She's like, I'm done with you. Don't even call my phone. Don't talk to me. She's at that point. She doesn't.
Yeah. I think it's so important just for her to just like be able to voice that, give it to him, let him deal with it, how she's feeling, you know, as a child, because they do need that, especially as little girls. Like, you know, dads are like their first little boyfriend, you know, to teach them how everything, and sometimes they fail them.
They do.
They fail.
And that's why I feel like we have to kind of come in and make that up. I feel like that's where things kind of
make it up, though.
I think I try to.
we can try.
I tried to.
And I say we can try, but we really can't.
I tried.
Because I'll tell you why. We do that, and sometimes we overcompensate. That's the word for it, because we're doing so much to try to fill this void, and what they're not doing, that we're at a place where they see it still. Because I remember having that conversation with your niece and things. I remember like going out, we finished one of her dance recital, and I'm like, I went and got her flowers and stuff, and she was just like, my daddy's supposed to do that. And I would never forget that day, because it broke my heart. No matter how much she saw another little girl had flowers from her dad, I went and got her flowers to make sure she had flowers for her next thing. And when she said that, it broke my heart. And that's when I realized I can try and do every single thing possible, and it would never fill that void. So it's important for them to have that conversation with their dad. Let them know how they're feeling, what they're doing, and how it's impacting them. And then we have to be honest with them, where we don't necessarily down talk or belittle the other parent, but just speak the truth. Be honest, right? And let them see it, because the truth is they really, really do see it. They really do.
And I feel like that's why in my situation, it's hard. No matter what I say to her, she's just tried so much to talk to him. She's just shut off. She's like, oh, my dad texted me and said he loves me. Then she showed me the text message, and she asked him, are you okay? That was her response to him. Are you okay?
And sometimes that's the harshness of it, based on the relationship that we created, that we started. So sometimes even if they're ready to try to start to build a relationship, it's not that it's too late, but it's like the damage is already done.
Yes, and it's hard to repair broken glass. It is. It's like they're so fragile. Just imagine dropping a glass. You cannot pick up all those pieces and put them back together. So,
it is hard, and that's like a great way to sum that up. Certain things, depending on how many pieces you could kind of put it back together, it would still be broken. And like what I told Haley, it's just like, you're just gracefully broken. That makes you who you are, but it doesn't have to stop you from being, to shine, to show a good reflection as well. I mean, this was such an amazing conversation. I do have to run to go get my vision check.
I gotta go spend some money.
But I think this is an amazing conversation. I would love to have you back. I know we kind of focused on the other teenager, but we'll be back and do some other things. Or we can have them interview us or do something like that. Or have a conversation with us. You're not ready for that too?
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
I kind of been bracing myself, because she's been like, this is what, and I'm like, okay, come on, let's go. I'm ready.
Not ready. I'm not.
I'm ready.
I'm not. They can ask you all the questions. Okay, I'm not ready. I'll sit here and be like, y'all, keep going, keep going.
But just amazing conversation, and I just, I know I said this to you like maybe about a month ago, but just to commend you on your growth and your honesty, your transparency, just being able to grow. And it just shows that it's never too late. You can start, young, or do all these other things in life, but you can still say, hey, I need help. Hey, do this, or just to show up when it's necessary. So again, I'm proud of you for the growth and the steps and the changes that you're making to be even better now. So this is a perfect example of, I didn't get what I needed from my parents. I was not taught the basics I need to survive. But now that you have an opportunity, and now you know what you know, what are you going to do with it? How can you make it better for your kids? How can you help them not go down the same road or path that you did? Think about that. Now you know what you know. Well, now you know what you know. What are you going to do with it? It's no longer my mommy did, my daddy did, they didn't do. It's you. What are you going to do now? Be the change that you want to be, or that you want to see. And until then, as moms, don't forget to do something for yourself, whatever it is.
$10.
It's worth it. You're worth it. And it's okay to be selfish and spend your $10 on yourself. And don't forget to smile and love on yourself. So until next time, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment as well. Share your story, or if you want to be a part of our conversation, or just want to share your story, please, let us know. And you can find me on Instagram at Totally Katika. See y'all next time.